Oh, no, 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 pal bros. I thought this release was supposed to destroy Pokemon. How could it be that Pokemon, which is not even having a generation this year, how is Pokemon outpacing Palworld, the game that was supposed to destroy it? Aren't they getting a TCG this year? Aren't they getting 1.0 finally released? Isn't Palworld doing really, 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 really well? The answer is no. Palworld is not and never has been competing with Pokemon. The attempt to gaslight you into thinking it was some kind of coordinated psyop between Western gaming journalists and Pocket Pair. You know, all of this controversy hinges on the fact that game journals deliberately misrepresented the controversy to be about something it wasn't. So many people really genuinely believe that Palworld's going to come out in July and be some kind of gigantic hit, as if like people haven't paid for early access and have full access to the game already. You know, those of you who still care about and still play Palworld have played it already. The game has peaked in relevancy. It's never going to have some resurgence. It's not going to be like, it's not going to have some explosion of relevancy. Like all the attempts at ripping off other Nintendo characters like Anka from Animal Crossing have like completely failed to leave much of an impression on anyone. Like the way things are looking now, like Pocket Pair is finished. Okay, there is no like replicating this weird scenario. They are going to lose the lawsuit. They are not going to succeed with 1.0. They are not going to succeed with the TCG. They are not going to succeed with like that deal they signed with Sony for the animated series, which still has not surfaced, by the way. Like we're seeing all of these people like bend over backwards saying Palworld has won, when in reality things couldn't be more different. In reality, Nintendo is dominating, not just with Pokemon, but with all their other brands. While Pocket Pair is coasting by on this weird counterculture internet Nintendo hate grift. Essentially, that's really all this is. People weren't enthusiastic about Palworld. They didn't really care about the pals. They didn't really care about Pocket Pair. They didn't really believe in the lawsuit. All they cared about was demonizing Nintendo for clicks and attention. That's it. That's the reality of what we're seeing here, is that the industry just refused to accept the reality that Palworld was plagiarized, and that Nintendo has proven that in a court of law. Like, and again, like, I remember when this situation first came up and people were insisting that, like, the same people, mind you, were insisting that Nintendo would never dare file a lawsuit, like, in general. And here we are, you know, awaiting judgment. Like, people are not prepared for how badly this is going for Palworld. Like, all their attempts at grifting attention, all their attempts at like trying to like ape off of Nintendo, this is the end result of it, is that this is all they're known for. They are the Sonic the Hedgehog of Pokemon now. That's it. Like they don't do anything fun, original, creative. It's just the exact same thing, but like, oh, well, it's cool and edgy, and for older people, oh, it's so much better. Like the entire grift has completely collapsed. And it is something that we do need to talk about going forward. It's something that we do need to acknowledge. It's something that we do have to address, in that this is a situation that never should have gone as far as it did. Because people seriously believed Palworld when they released a JPEG image saying they had sold like 30 million copies of their game. Okay? Like, that didn't happen. That was never going to happen. Like, the numbers that were on Steam were like unrealistic. They did not have 2 million players at launch, okay? Like, it was entirely botted. It was entirely astroturfed. It was entirely like a gigantic grift to try and create the illusion that this was some massive up-and-coming company, when in reality, this is some crypto bro scam from some dipshit who's trying to like make his company out to be way more successful than it actually is. And like, I'm very, very surprised at the amount of people who can't see through this. Like, that's just the reality, is that the money's running out. You know, the strategy did not work. It did not lead to like long term for success of the company. Nobody cares about any of the other games they're involved with. Like nobody cares about Pocket Pair at all outside of the Nintendo lawsuit, and that is only because of Nintendo. Okay, people don't want Palworld to win; they want Nintendo to lose, and I do think that's like that really does need to be understood when talking about like people like Fratanga or Cloudfish TV or like any of these other like beta male incel YouTubers who just keep thinking that like man, Palworld it's gonna be bigger than Pokemon, and then maybe like maybe it'll have a normal life. Maybe Nintendo will go bankrupt. Maybe it'll be normal to endlessly talk about PC gaming while I stream while not actually playing PC. Like it's like you're going to be seeing a lot of that over the coming weeks. Like I imagine the cope is going to be that like Nintendo paid off the courts or that they're just such an evil company that they just exerted their Yakuza ties to like make sure Palworld got like completely wrecked. Like I imagine that's going to be the cope. But the reality is that like this case was pretty set in stone like the instant Nintendo went after them. Because I do think this is something that like the community just won't accept is happening. Like I do feel like the community has like hinged on all their bets on this idea that like Pocket Pair is going to win, Palworld's going to embarrass Nintendo, Pokemon is finished, and yet like that's just not the case. And honestly, what we're seeing now is that we're beginning to see the end of like the hate grift in regards to Pokemon. Like Pokemon really did go through its Wii U cycle in like, after Let's Go was announced. Like it really did go through that process where like everybody was spurting out about it constantly, acting like it was finished, acting like Nintendo didn't know what they were doing. And like the simple fact of the matter is that wasn't true. Like Nintendo's done way better with Pokemon than I think anybody could possibly imagine. It's way bigger than GTA if you didn't know. It's just so weird to me how like the general gaming community genuinely seems to believe perpetually that Pokemon is a brand that's on the way out when like that's not really possible at this point. Like it's not really possible for a game like Palworld to come out, sell 30 million units, and then be bigger than Pokemon. That's not how it works. Like for a game to compete with Pokemon, it would have to sell 30 million units. Okay. It would have to get a sequel within 3 years. It would have to like continue maintaining its brand and branching off into anime, into merchandising, into like, into the TCG, right? Because that's the big thing with Pokemon right now, right? Is the TCG. Like, and you are going to see Palworld go up against Pokemon TCG at like its absolute peak of relevancy. Okay, like people aren't prepared for how bad that's going to look. Okay, nobody's really talking about that, about how badly like the Pokemon TCG is going to eviscerate Palworld. But like, I am just like, I really don't even think the Palworld TCG is going to get it to make it to market. Like, this is going to be an epic failure. Like nobody's going to confuse Pokemon with Palworld. It's just my opinion. So again, we're looking at this situation. We're looking at the numbers. We're looking at like how Palworld 1.0 is coming out in July, in the next couple of weeks. And yet like nobody's talking about it at all. Nobody's excited. Nobody brings it up unless you're a YouTube grifter, unless you're like Fratanga, you're not bringing this up at all. And even now, like nobody knows the names of any of the pals. Nobody cares about them. Nobody like, is engaged with the setting or the world of Palworld unless it's to try and push the narrative that it's like way more complex and engaging than Pokemon. That just isn't true. Okay. And I think that's going to become increasingly apparent with all of these subsequent Pokemon games that come out. Like, the PAL community, they couldn't even handle Legend ZA. Okay. Like they came out swinging against that game and they completely failed. I can't imagine how bleak things are going to get when they get to like, Winds and Waves. Okay. When they get to Gen 10, a major milestone title, 30 years of Pokemon, like, huge milestone generation, right? Looks great. Looks like it'll have like a lot of new features. Like there's nothing Palworld will be able to do to compete with that. And like the difference between these two things is like insane. I feel like people are not prepared for like the inevitability of like Nintendo dominating with this release. Like we are not prepared for like the reality of what's going to transpire with this situation. People are like going to seethe and they're going to make excuses, but like the reality is Palworld has lost and there is nothing you can do about that.